Hello, we're live. Happy Tuesday. It has been a while. I'm finally feeling good enough, and I think everyone is so bored of me keep talking about cancer updates. So let's get back into wine. Since the pandemic, it has been a lot harder to keep up to date on all the new wines because we're not doing a lot of the industry tasting that we're used to having before the shutdown. So I'm always very appreciative when vendors send me samples for me to try out, especially on wines I haven't tried before. I'm kind of keeping a little bit of a suspense. So the wine we're tasting today was ranked by Wine Spectator as their number 13 for their top 100 in 2020. And today I thought it would be fun for us to go through this together because I have not tasted the wine yet, to have a honest review, and I'll just walk through with you on what I do when I am presented with a new wine I'm unfamiliar with, to what's my sell process and what do I do to decide if this is a wine I'm going to bring on and share with my clients. So let's do it. First thing first, I will go ahead and show you what a wine is. I have to admit that when I was first presented with this wine by the importer, I kind of just brushed it off. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but I hate to say it, we're all humans, so that happened often. So the bottle we're going to taste together today, or I'm going to show you today, is a 2016 legit Cabernet. Yep, this shit is legit. So I saw the name and I saw the label, and I told my importer that it's probably not for my clientele, but they sent me a sample anyway, so I figure we'll taste it together. So I hate to say it, I shouldn't judge it by its label, but initially I just go, oh, was the name like legit, and having someone on the label, it seems a little too new world-ish or too modernish for what I'm used to, I guess, selling, but that's not always the case. So after doing a little bit of research, again, at first, everything seemed to be really stacked against this bottle, besides the fact that it does have 95 points by Wine Spectator, which is always good to know when you're bringing a wine that has good score, even though I don't always believe in scoring. I believe more in what you personally think tastes good, because whatever Robert Parker, Wine Spectator, decanters think is a 95, 96, 97 point wine doesn't mean it's going to taste that great in your palate. But it's good that it has 95 points, and it's also, of course, amazing sell to know that is a top 13 wine out of the top 100. Every year when Wine Spectator release their top 100 lists in around October, all of their top wine sells out, especially the top 20. So being a top 13 is quite a really impressive ranking. In addition to that, after a quick search, this bottle only go for about $40 a bottle. So again, very affordable for a top 13 wine that scores 95 points. So I go, all right, we'll go more into it. Then again, there's a challenge. So this is like 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, but it's hard to tell by the front label. But once you do a little bit of quick research and look at the back label, you'll realize that this is a 100% Cabernet Sauvignon from Tuscany, specifically from the southern sub-region of Chianti Classico. But it is listed as IGT Toscana because it does not fit the DOCG requirement for Chianti Classico, because it is 100% Cab. It's not a blend of Sangiovese with other stuff. So hence why it's quote-unquote declassified, or he is doing it in a more new wave, a new world style of the Italian winemaker who doesn't want to go with what the DOCG require them of doing. They want more freedom, so they'll rather declassify their wine to make a wine that they think grows better in their specific vineyard and region. And secondly, the guy on the label, after doing a little bit of research, just a little bit before my time, but his name, he's actually a really famous jazz musician, if you know him. He's named the genius of modern music, Thelonious Monk. Thelonious Monk is his name. My husband's back here with the pronunciation support here. He was more active back in the 70s and 60s, and I think he passed away from in the 80s. But his kids have had a personal relationship with the producer and the owner of the winery, and they've tasted the wine, loved it, and then they decided to corroborate and use his his face and his label to, I guess, to put on the bottle of wine. Sorry, I just saw someone liking it and I thought the photo looked like this, so I wasn't sure if that. Anyways, I literally have not tasted yet, so we're gonna open it. So my thought process there is, okay, 95 point, great. 100% Cabernet is actually very easy sell. People do love Cab. And being top 13 and only $40 a bottle, again, great selling point. A downside, being an Italian Cab, people are more used to the idea of California Cabernet or Bordeaux, Cabernet from Bordeaux. So Cabernet from Italy, although there are plenty of success and great example from Italy recently, but it's not quite as mainstream. So might be a slightly harder sell, but we're gonna taste together. And the next thing, of course, I do is I look up the winery. It is a newer winery. They actually just finished planting the vines back in 2002. Again, it's not your old family-owned, ran for generations of winery. And then you hear, so again, for me, because I love to research on the winery because I want to get an idea of the philosophy and what style I'm expecting to taste and see from this bottle of wine. So from what I'm reading and seeing from their winery style, so it is located in Chianti Classico in the southern sub-region, but he barely makes the wine that qualifies for the DOCG. He's kind of a rebel, your newer styles of winemaker from that region. And he uses a lot of barrique, which is small wine barrel. And he, when he first started the winery, he hired Michel Rolland, which is one of the most famous wine consultant that started making his name in Bordeaux, and then he traveled around the world. Pretty much all the really high scoring wine has his finger in it. This one being one of it. So all those kind of information, and they're also saying age for 24 months, is putting an idea in my head that this wine is going to be geared towards the New World style. It's going to be bigger, fruitier, and oakier. But we'll see if that's the case or not. And I'm gonna pour some for my husband, who is cooking behind the TV. You can't see him, but
well, thank you.
You're welcome. This wine, they only produce, I guess that is relatively big, depending on what you're thinking of. They produce about 15,000 cases, and 2,500 was imported to United States, with the California importer only getting 100 cases. So very, relatively exclusive, if that makes sense. Now, yeah. Okay, so I have not tasted this before, and I'm just, Sean is like laughing at me right now. This, I as soon as I stick my nose in there, I'm like, yeah, I see why this is a top 13 from like Wine Spectator top 100. It's just it is what you want to smell in a Cabernet. I almost say California. It's not from California. So at first I was usually with a Cab.
If you don't like it, I'll drink it.
Yeah. So I like definitely rolled it out before I tasted, thinking it's gonna be not that amazing. But as soon as I stick my nose in it, a couple things I think makes it a very good, like it will tilt my decision into, yes, I will probably get some of this wine and share it with you guys and have you guys buy it. And these are the reasons why. One, usually, I hate to say it, in my perfection, when I stick my nose into a wine, I'm finding what's wrong more so than finding what's right off the bat. So as soon as I stick my nose in there, I'm trying to look for flaws, really. I wanted to know if the wine, the intensity, if it's there, if it's over oak. Because when I hear a younger winery that is putting their Cab that's only finished planting in 2002, so it's only like 18-year-old vine, under 24 months of French barrique. My first thought is it probably might be over oak. A lot of the time, if the vineyard is not producing intense enough fruit, or if they're not extracting the fruit enough, the wine will be off balance, either smelling too oaky, or you'll get greenness from the fruit, which is that bell pepper, spicy notes. That's usually not very attractive, especially if you're a classic Cabernet lover. But this wine, as soon as you stick your nose into it, it's actually very like well-rounded. You get the fruit, you get the mocha. The oak is not sticking out like a throat sun like I thought it might be. So but it's not overpowered. I'm not going to name any name. A lot of California wineries sometimes, for the sake of knowing that people love that oak smell, will overdo it, and the wine will be overpowered by just the oak sands. This one is not, and just very good actually. And what I really love about it is that it's not just all dark fruit. Sometimes I feel like with the Napa Cab, you're overwhelmed with dark fruit. You'll get raspberry, black cherry, blackberries, plum, licorice. It's a lot of black fruit, whereas this still remnants of the Chianti Classico, which is a little bit of that red floral, dry rose petal. My husband is nodding in the back, so he got it too. But yet, it's rounded out very well. Oh man, I totally thought this was gonna be one of those incidents where I'm just gonna be like, yeah, it was great, it was all hype, but I'm actually quite impressed on the nose so far. And I legit, this is the first time I taste it, so I'm kind of legit, exactly. I'm glad you caught that. Yeah, very, very pleasant. And the other thing I said is very easy to love is that a lot of time with the wine that I love, the old world style stuff, the older, the done in the more old school way, that needs a lot of barrel aging, a lot of decanting before it drinks well. It's not easy, I think, for most people to love and understand. But this wine, I just opened and poured it, and it's showing very well. The other test I'm gonna put it through is, after I log out live, I will leave a comment later to tell you how it developed in about 30 minutes to an hour. See if it falls off, because sometimes wine smells amazing right off the bat and it doesn't hold, it doesn't last that long. So I'll let you know there too. But right off the bat is quite nice, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, this is fun. So it is fuller on the nose than it is on the palate. What I mean by that is that the alcohol is not as burnt, it does not burn as hot as what you will imagine. Again, I'm comparing this to our California counterpart because I think that's what most people are familiar with and most people drink. So what I say is not as full. I'm comparing it to most Napa Cabernet. It's got higher acid, lower alcohol, and slightly lower tannin on the palate, which I personally love. So if you are someone who loves the monstrosity of true California Cab, I feel like a lot of California Cab producers gonna like get really angry. I'm generalizing, they're not all like that, but there is a school of really big Cab that is very full, high alcohol, high tannin, high extraction, high everything. This is not it, especially when you put in the palate. So on the nose is very satisfying. It feels like it's big and round, but when you put it in the palate, the acid is surprisingly high, which I personally love because I don't drink Cabernet Sauvignon like a cocktail. I like to drink it with some kind of food, usually steak. Tonight we're actually having chili, which is kind of a big, heavier food that I think something with a higher acid would work really well with. And if you have ever done any of my virtual tasting with me, or you understand my palate, you always hear me talk about that acid is the backbone of a wine for its potential aging. So because of kind of the elevated acid I'm feeling here in the back end, I think this wine can age. Because I think other critics have, the Wine Spectator said that it will be best drinks through 2040. At first I was like, yeah, maybe they're just swinging a number out there. 2040 seems like a long time from now. I don't know if it has 20 years of ageability when I read it. But now that I taste it and I do feel that acid and the structure is, the structure and integrity is there, I can see this wine aging till 2040. So, but then, like I said, if you're looking for a huge tannin alcohol bomb, this is not it. And I'm looking at the back label, 14% alcohol. Again, very moderate compared to most Napa alcohol percentage level. So I think at the end of the day, this is a great wine. I will actually sell it, but to the right people. If you are someone who likes that Cabernet feel, but not over the top, something a little more balanced, or you sometimes like a heavier Pinot or a more of a Merlot. So if you like Cab or any red, but on the spectrum, you're not on the end of a spectrum where you like it so big and so massive, you want a little more balance, then I would recommend giving this a go. It's a great talking piece. Obviously, it'll make you look good because, the story is amazing. Top 13 of 100 for 2020. With a famous jazz musician. In fact, I don't know if you can hear in the background, I'm actually playing his music there very faintly in the background, just for fun. That was interesting. I didn't think it was going to go as well as he did, but you will be seeing a nice little email offering for this wine if there's any left from the California importer. And if you're interested in trying some, I recommend you give it a go and pair it with some kind of heavy steak dishes. It will be awesome. Well, it has been great. It has been a while. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.